In this episode of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, Sean O'Shaughnessy and Kevin Lawson reveal why documenting your ideal client profile is the foundation of sales success. Before chasing AI tools or automation, learn how clear sales processes and value selling drive stronger revenue generation and smarter growth.
Sales hypothesis. You cannot go to any social media platform or news or video or any platform sharing content that doesn't have a mention in the first medium length scroll of AI. It's AI tools, it's AI enablement, it's AI, it's artificial intelligence, automatic intelligence, it's intelligence, right? The challenge you and I, because I'm a small business owner too, and Sean is as well, we all have the same problem. There's so much out there available to us. Getting started can be challenged, not to mention getting everything interconnected. You buy 3 tools and you got to connect them together so you don't have to manage 3 databases. Today, we're going to unpack the topic of getting ready to leverage automation and or AI and or workflows. First, starting with just the discussion of sales and marketing. We're going to keep it fairly narrow here just so that we can not chase too many rabbits in our 15 minutes. But to get us started, Sean, let's talk about the value of having all of your processes documented first.
I love that one because it's just the reality of life. So I'm a little old. If you have met me, if you see the picture on the image that's on your CarPlay player while you're driving down the car, you'll see 2 guys up there. We don't look very tall, but we are. That's why we call it 2 tall guys. I'm the one that has gray hair.
And I'm the one that has no hair.
So I've been around for a long time. And I actually was joking about this with a coach, a business coach the other day. I actually sold before we had CRMs. I actually sold when computers were these mainframe things. So think Hidden Figures. I think it was the Nassau movie. I think it was Hidden Figures. They had to widen the door to get the IBM into it. And they called it the IBM and whatever, right? That's what computers looked like when I started my career. Maybe a little bit better than that because I'm not quite that old. But anyway, my point is that you didn't have to have a CRM to do your job. You didn't have to have anything because all I had was a notebook, which was paper, not a notebook that you typed in, a bunch of business cards and a car. I didn't even have a cell phone because we didn't have cell phones back then. So you don't need tools to sell. What you do need is a structure of how we're going to sell to people, which means we have to describe who is our best customer. So back then, you could have asked me exactly who is our ideal client profile? What kind of companies do we sell to? What kind of people in those companies based on the product we're selling? What kind of people are we selling to? And I was charged with knowing every single company in my territory. Literally, when I was first starting out, I got this great advice. They said, look, when Ken goes with you on a sales call, because he will go with you, make sure you map out your route between the office and that meeting. Because if you map your route out by buildings that you don't know what's going on inside that building, it's going to be a rough drive. He may wait till after the meeting, but then he's going to ask you about it after the meeting. So map your route past companies that you know what's going on. And by the way, Ken told you he's going to make sales calls with you next week. Go meet the other people on the route. Just go out there and start making cold calls. Cold calls back then were walk in the door. So my point is I had to know what my ideal client profile was. I had to know exactly what was there. When I was in the car and Ken was in the shotgun seat, Ken would say, hey, Sean, what do they do? As we're driving down the road. And I'd have to tell him. But it was okay for me to say, I've been there. I called on them. They're really small. They only do this. They only have this kind of stuff. I referred it off to our distributor. I made the introduction. I think that's a distributor-led deal. And he would say, okay, good. And then he'd be quiet because he knew the answers for the very first one. And that's all it had to take. So my point is, know who you should be calling on. The second thing I had to know was I had to know exactly what our value was to that ideal client profile. So those are just things that you have to know. And they have to be there before the CRM system, before anything else should happen. And in my case, they happened before we had cell phones. So get to know your ideal client profile, write it down, know exactly what it is. If you have multiple products, you may have multiple ideal client profiles that you go on. And that's perfectly fine. That's up to your company leadership. If you're a salesperson, that you have this product that goes for that person, you have this kind of product, this other type of person, this other title is going to be the one buying it. Perfectly fine. All of those things are realities. You have to know them, and you should know them before you apply any automation. And before I turn it back over to Kevin, I will say that I heard that Ken is doing really well. He's long retired. He's in his 90s now, but I heard he's very healthy. I actually ran into somebody who had talked to him just a couple of weeks earlier than that, and Ken's doing great. So Ken, if you're out there, I'm not going to use your last name, and you're listening, hope you're doing well.
That's fun. It's good to remember our roots. But taking back and leaping forward 30 or 40 years from that polyester memory you just shared, thinking about AI, right? We opened by talking about AI. We can log into Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn today, and there will be a barrage of AI tools. Juice your funnel building, AI for insights on your business, AI bots, do the automated reach out, agentify this. All those things don't work unless you have a defined ICP, ideal client profile, personas or avatars, people that you want to reach. So if I were to show up at I'm assuming that for those of you listening out there, I'm assuming I'm going to walk in your door tomorrow and you're going to say, we want to put AI or some version of AI tooling into our sales and marketing process. I'm going to say, that's great. Show me your ideal client profile in writing. Show me your personas in writing. Show me examples of companies that you're currently working with, up to and including all the demographic, firmographic, psychographic data you have about them. I said I was going to speak slow, then I sped up. I say all that to say those tools don't work unless they are programmed to know what you're trying to look for. Pause. Think about that. If your value proposition and your core item offering aren't aligned or aren't documented, you can't tell those AI tools where to go hunt and look for you. You have basically just bought another person who is untrained. If you don't have an onboarding process for people or technology, it's bound to fail. So save yourself some money and headache in the form of dollars and cents and software not working or not being connected, and do this work first. When you do this work well, you can then not only look at your deals and pipeline and your prospects and go, are they a super sweet spot kind of prospect for me? Or can I just offer them a little bit and I'm probably gonna have to customize it and have this kind of one-off relationship? If you're a founder out there, if you're pre-A or if you're in a seed round and you're thinking about your MVP, this is the time to think about it. You have to have a sales hypothesis about who might buy your product. If you've not done that work, now's a great time to say, who is going to be an early adopter? Not what are they buying in terms of products and specs, but what are they getting from the product that they buy? What is their reason for buying? Why should they adopt, adapt, buy, trial my solution so that they can be more successful in their business? I had a great leader. He is a former EY guy, and he said this key phrase to me over breakfast one morning. He said, sell the problem you solve, not the product you have. And that's just resonated with me for 20 years now. The reason that has stuck so solidly in my mind is that if we will be problem-solving focused as an organization and next step focused as a sales organization, we will be wildly successful because we're focusing with urgency on how to help people solve their problems. Now, this technology discussion started around AI and tools and whatnot, what to have. For all of your systems and processes to work well, if you'll use the foundational piece here as a way to build your empire, your pyramid of success, know what you're selling, who you're selling to, and why they should buy. That kind of thinking is going to help enable you to have the right conversation. That's also, now, if you haven't listened to our last episode about having great sales pipeline meetings, this conversation we're having now is part of that. This helps sales meetings not suck because you are talking to the right people at the right times about the problems you solve and how you do that. So commercially, it makes sense just to get really intentional about what you're doing and who you're selling to. Sean, what did I leave out? What did I skip over?
I'm just going to build a little bit on it. So I spent some time in my career selling automation to different types of companies. At the beginning of my career, I did some robotics, but I was always selling to General Motors and companies like that. Later in my career, I did automation for companies that were doing automation of getting information from one system to another. So I've done a lot of automation. And the one thing that was true, no matter what kind of automation I was talking about, was if you automate a bad process, all you do is make junk faster. It's just fact of life. Because if it doesn't work manually and slowly and step by step, and then you automate it, all you do is get to the end faster with more junk. And congratulations, you didn't go anywhere except make lots of junk. So my point is, building on with what Kevin was saying, is get everything working first. Make sure it's all correct. Avoid chasing the shiny object. Just do the basics first. Make sure they work. Make sure you know what it is. Make sure you know how it works. So if you've listened to this podcast for a couple of weeks now, we've been talking a lot about our B2B Sales Lab. The B2B Sales Lab is a peer community of people like you that get together, ask questions of each other, help each other out, give advice, maybe pat you on the back when you did really well, maybe kick you in the butt when you're not doing some things that you need to be doing. But in that sales lab for our community members, there's a space that is great sales resources. I recently put 2 white papers into that resource that is exclusive for people that are in the lab. I'm not giving it to anybody else just because you're listening to the podcast. No, you can't get it. You got to go to the B2B Sales Lab to get it. But I'm going to drop a couple things about one of those white papers that I put out there was the ideal client profile. This is how important that it is that you know your ideal client profile. Companies that have an ideal client profile written down versus those that do not have an account win rate that is 68% higher than if they didn't write it down. That's amazing. Now, as I've said in presentations on this topic before, causation and correlation are 2 different things. So I'm not saying that you write down your ideal client profile, boom, your revenue goes up 68%. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you probably are doing the other things right as well. But companies that don't do a lot of things right and they're struggling and they're not getting along and they're not working together and they don't know their value proposition and they don't know their ideal client profile, they're going to be on that 68% lower revenue stream. Okay. Similarly, companies with an ideal client profile, once again, correlation, not causation, have an 85% likelihood of higher sales growth. They will grow year over year. Once again, they're probably doing other things right as well. And that's really important to understand. And the deal closure rate, 25% more if you know who your ideal client profile is. In fact, there's another stat that's really interesting. If you're a startup and you're not selling to your ideal client profile like you sell to everybody because you're not trying to figure it out, you are far more likely to go out of business in 5 years. So knowing your ideal client profile is very important. Now, you can succeed without it. And this is the correlation, not causation conversation. You can succeed without it. However, you are more likely to succeed if you have it, because if you know your ideal client profile, then it's really easy to say, who's the buyer that I have to talk to? What are the personas of the people that buy? It's really easy because now you've identified all the psychographic and demographic and all the other graphic things that you can do to figure out what that company looks like and how the 45 other companies that are in your territory that are just like that. And then you can really easily say, I'm really good at selling to the engineering manager and the engineering VP. And I also have talked to the VP of IT. Great. You can identify what those people are. That's personas. And then you can say, and when I talk to them, this is what we talk about. This is what we ask. For the VP of IT, we ask a different question than the engineering manager. And that's fine. That's what you're supposed to do. You should ask relevant questions to their job and probably their needs. That's your value selling proposition. So get them done, get them written down. You are more likely to succeed if you have that. Now, if you want to read those white papers, they're freely available. There's one on an ideal client profile, and there's one on value selling proposition. If you want to read them, all you have to do is join the B2B Sales Lab. And the great thing about it, it's free. You can join, you get 90 days for free to check it out. If you don't like it, drop. It's no big deal, right? 90 days for free. Go check it out. Go to b2b-sales-lab.com. It's in the show notes as well, but just go check it out and you'll be able to download those papers. You'll be able to interact with Kevin and Sean. We have times when we both get on and we have live conversations where you can just join and have conversation, which is like having a podcast, like Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, except you get to talk back to us and we got to listen to you, which is even better. So look forward to talking to you. Look forward to seeing you on the lab. Thank you very much. Happy selling.
What a powerful conversation today on Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. I especially appreciated the deep dive into why automating a bad process just makes junk faster. That point hit home. Before we layer on AI or new technology, sales leaders must ensure their processes are clean, intentional, and built for success. Sean and Kevin didn't just talk theory, they showed how better sales processes connect directly to stronger messaging, sharper business acumen, and smarter revenue generation. And of course, the significant actionable item from today's episode is crystal clear. Write down your ideal client profile. Not next week, not next quarter, today. This single step has been proven to boost win rates, increase deal closure percentages, and fuel consistent sales growth. Don't let the urgency of your daily business sweep this aside. Take the time now to document your ICP and align your team. If you're looking for more support in building sales strategies, improving sales management, or growing your company's revenue, remember that both Sean and Kevin are here to help. Their contact information is in the show notes. And if you haven't already, join the B2B Sales Lab, an active peer community of salespeople and sales leaders who share best practices, resources, and answers to the toughest questions in the field. It's designed to help you hit quota, strengthen your sales processes, and connect with others who understand the challenges of leading in sales. You'll find the link to the B2B Sales Lab right there in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss future episodes filled with actionable insights. We'll be back with another conversation at the same time next week. Until we meet again, happy selling!